bin.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vedabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And we're a few weeks into the semester so far. Kenton, how are you doing?
It's the hard part of the semester. It's tiring, it's exhausting. And when there's marking to be done, particularly the first assignment, I do 1 hour with each class where we talk about the first assignment is where the spectacular disasters happen. Where we're like, okay, we see what we're working on and then we move forward. And it's always it's an eye-opening experience for the teacher. It's an eye-opening experience for the students. And that's where the real work begins. So
yeah.
That's how I'm doing. I'm a little tired. How about you?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I do have a large stack of marking on my desk to get through this weekend. So I will be busy, but I'm having fun. I'm actually having a better time this year than I did last year. I don't know if it's just because we've gotten used to the online learning and are dealing with it better, but I'm finding that it's going much more smoothly this year than it did last year. So I'm liking that aspect of it, but I still, of course, want to have students back in person. So I can't wait till that happens for us. Not yet, but soon.
I'm still going to be online it seems like for this whole school year.
Okay.
At this point, unless something changes. But I agree with you. I think the classes just seem a little more fun this year. And students kind of know a bit more what they're in for, maybe because they had to do it last year.
Yeah, I think it's about managing expectations, right? If you know what you're in for, then you're better at dealing with it. And I think last year we didn't really know what we were in for, anybody.
Nobody, right?
And then it just kind of didn't turn out as well we'd hoped. It is a great week for Star Wars, though. Star Wars Visions dropped this week. We're going to talk about that. I challenge you to watch all of them, and then I didn't watch all of them. So we'll talk about that too, about how I tried to.
I did my job.
And listen, I was surprised that they dropped them all at once, but I guess it was because they're shorter episodes, like 15, 20 minutes around. They're not full half hour, so they didn't feel right parsing those out across a week-to-week thing, so they dropped them all at once. But yeah, we're going to talk about that. First, though, I want to talk some Star Wars clickbait.
What? How? What are you talking about? Huh? What? Goodness gracious me.
You had the story this week. Can you read the headline for me?
It's not, I wouldn't call it clickbait because it's actually seems to be true.
The name of the segment, Kent, to go with it.
Which is Star Wars editor Marsha Lucas says J.J. Abrams doesn't have a clue. And apparently it says that she spoke, and Marsha Lucas, by the way, so she was the editor.
She was George's wife at the time.
Right. But I
don't think they're married anymore.
Editor of A New Hope at the very least.
Oh, yeah. And that one, people, while you're looking it up, I'll just talk.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that Star Wars, the original film, was saved in the edit. Like there was a lot that remember, I'm sure we talked about this in the past on this podcast about how the production didn't appear to be going well. And there were all kinds of problems because of the new special effects and the new techniques they were using. And so that's why Fox did not have faith in that movie, going forward, but it was saved in the edit. The edit is excellent. It's just so well put together. And so, yeah, she is the person who did that. She's the person who saved Star Wars, and she doesn't think JJ is doing a good job.
No, and it does say Star Wars editor here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe it was just A New Hope.
I think it was just the first one, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
She certainly has something to say about it, though, because she did take part in that first film. And I mean, if she says it, I'm gonna pay attention.
So she spoke to J.W. Rinsler. He's got a new book coming out, and of course J.W. Rinsler passed away not too long ago, so this is at some point in the past. And she spoke to him and commented on the decision to kill off Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. And so she not only sticks it to Abrams, but also Kathleen Kennedy a bit. And she's quoted as saying, "I like Kathleen. I always liked her. She was full of beans. She was smart and really bright, wonderful woman. And I liked her husband, Frank. I liked them a lot. Now that she's running Lucasfilm and making movie, it seems to me that Kathy Kennedy and J.J. Abrams don't have a clue about Star Wars. They don't get it. And J.J. Abrams is writing these stories where I saw that movie where they kill Han Solo. I was furious. I was furious when they killed Han Solo. Absolutely, positively, there was no rhyme or reason to it. I thought, you don't get the Jedi story, you don't get the magic of Star Wars. You're getting rid of Han Solo. Okay.
I don't think like that they were considering that in the original trilogy. Like, come on, that's a little much.
I think that was more to bring back Harrison Ford on the promise. But then again, Harrison Ford did show up as the Vision or the Ghost or whatever he was in
the last movie.
In the last one, so maybe they didn't need to kill him off. And it always bothered me that I don't think they needed to kill off Luke. Like, I thought, okay, if Harrison Ford wants to die, give him his wish to bring him back one more time. But for God's sakes, as long as Mark Hamill is alive and drawing breath, he should be in Star Wars films. Like, for God's sakes. That made me angry, actually.
Yeah.
I thought when they called it Rise of Skywalker, just like Search for Spock, right? Rise of Skywalker. All right, it's going to be like the new Skywalker, but then it's also going to be the literal rise of Luke Skywalker. I was like, that's gold. That's great. Then I don't care. If they killed them all. It's like, no, we called it the Rise of Skywalker to mention Rey. Like, come on.
Yes.
Just
and that was, nobody was happy.
Garbage. That's ridiculous. And so I agree, I do think that J.J. Abrams did not have a clue. I don't think his pal helped him out either. What's his name again? Ryan Johnston.
But didn't Lawrence Kasdan write that script for The Force Awakens? Like, old Star Wars people were part of that. So you can't blame it all on JJ, right? And Kathy Kennedy has a lot of experience producing movies, all kinds of different movies, not just Star Wars, all kinds of stuff. So I think the experience in the room is something. I don't know. I just think they didn't have enough contrasting voices or like people questioning what they were doing. It just seemed like everyone's like, yes, let's do this. A bunch of yes men, so to speak. I think that's what the problem was. They're like, yes, let's go ahead and do this. First idea, best idea. And then they just went ahead and did it. So that's my theory. They're so excited to bring Star Wars back. They didn't stop to think about how to do it. They just did it. So
yeah, I think the lack of a plan, like arguably The Force Awakens might be the most successful one of those.
Oh yeah.
When push comes to shove. And well, it was monetarily, it was.
Really,
but
I mean, as far as being, loved most by the fans of all those three of those movies, because the second one was divisive and the third one was awful. So first one, yes, is the biggest one of those three.
Well, we kind of liked them as we saw them, but now when you take a step back and look, but it was always with the belief that there's a master plan that would like make this all come to life. And really, the last one was the weakest one. He did all his publicity going, I'm not just doing an end to this trilogy. I'm doing an end to the entire story of Star Wars, and got everybody's expectation built up. And that was a big mistake to do that, I think. But so while I liked each film more or less as they came, now that they're done that trilogy, I don't think it was a successful trilogy. I don't think they fit together well. And I don't think the key takeaways, the lessons of Star Wars, there weren't really any lessons of Star Wars in those movies. No. It was just, let's give people some lightsabers and, let's echo what we've seen before. Do you think we without the soul?
Yeah. Do you think we put more weight on the movies as opposed to the TV shows or other properties? Like if it's you don't mess with the movies, but you can experiment with other things. So I think that holds true.
Yeah, but I also think that if I would have seen The Mandalorian as the first thing that I saw produced by Disney, I would have just been blown away.
Right.
I still would have been blown away on if that were a film.
Yeah, that's interesting. And that kind of brings me to the Star Wars Visions topic, which is like, these are all animated shorts. And it's like, I guess that we're putting the story of Star Wars has kind of been in the hands of George Lucas for a long time, right? For the longest time, it was all George Lucas. And then it started as the original movies ended, and we had all these novels and role-playing games and all these little things split off. We had more and more people contributing to the story of Star Wars. And that was okay. And people didn't care because it wasn't a movie. It wasn't officially Star Wars as far as they were concerned. But now as we move into this and we have these, like now they're trying to make it all canon. I don't think these visions are canon though, right? They're not supposed to be.
They couldn't be. No.
They couldn't be. Yeah, right. So, but we're starting to see Star Wars being put into hands of new storytellers and told in different ways, and they're starting to experiment and tell stories in different and be like, go beyond the formula of Star Wars. And I like that aspect of it, but I don't know. I just think they need to put more thought into what they're doing. Maybe that's what we're seeing now. It's been 6 years now since the Force Awakens came. Jesus, it's been 6 years since the Force Awakens came out.
It's been more than that.
Well, 2015.
Came out December 2015. Is that right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Hang on. Let me think about this. 6 years. It's not 7, hey? You're sure?
No. It was 7 since they announced it. They announced the buy in 2014.
Right.
I think that's when we started this podcast as far as Star Wars nerds, and then the Force Awakens came out in 2015. Anyway,
wait a sec. The last Star Wars movie, that wasn't last December, was it?
No, it was the one before. It was 2019 because it was before COVID.
So the films came out every 2 years.
Yes, 15, 17, 19, and then of course in the middle we had Rogue One and Solo.
Right. Okay. All right.
Okay,
sorry, I need to get my mind around that.
Caught up. All right.
Long ago, a great warrior came to this village and entrusted our ancestors with this. Its power and responsibility now lie with you.
So Star Wars Visions was released this week, and they did release all 9 episodes of season 1 at once. It was a compilation. It reminds me of, we've seen a few of these on Netflix, for example. There's Love, I think it's called Love, Death, and Robots is one, which is like a series of animated shorts that basically just have those 3 things. That's it. Love, Death, and Robots has to have one of those things in it to be a part of it. It also reminds me of the Animatrix, which is a collection of short animated shorts around the world of the Matrix that were all kind of tied together. So actually, this is a little more similar to that. The Animatrix had all kinds of different styles, but still pretty grounded in anime style, and that's what this is as well. This is all anime, although albeit different styles of anime, and that's something that I found interesting in that it's not just your typical Sailor Moon kind of anime. There's all kinds of different genres within that category. So what did you think overall of the shorts or the visions?
I like them.
Yeah,
I like them. I like some more than others. I think one of the things that maybe made me like them a little less was that I think the best one is the first one.
I agree.
And so I was like, I'm in. This is freaking gold. And they could set a universe, they could set a movie in this universe that they're showing and make it like at some point in the old Republic or something. And I'd be like, yes, I'm all, and it had that great, when the kettle boils.
Yeah.
Oh yes. When the kettle boils, then we'll all know what will happen then.
It was just this perfect blend of Star Wars and samurai culture, and the cool thing is that it still felt like Star Wars to me. Like that was I didn't expect it to, because we started off that one and it's all in black and white, which is cool, and except for certain colors are emphasized throughout it, and it starts out looking very old school, like you think this is an old village in medieval Japan, and then all of a sudden this vehicle comes through, like a Star Wars vehicle comes through, and you're like, oh, it's Star Wars. Like immediately you're there at Star Wars as soon as you see that vehicle. So that was the best one. And I thought, and I still, again, as I say, I still haven't finished them. I texted you yesterday to say, I'm gonna finish them. Are you? And you said, I don't know. And I said, okay, well, I am. And then I didn't, because Foundation was on last. Foundation dropped yesterday, and I had to watch the first episode of Foundation. So that was that distracted me, but I watched almost all of them. I watched, I think, 7 of 9. And I did enjoy it overall. I certainly like the idea behind this. The idea of these animation studios exploring these different aspects of the Star Wars universe and telling these stories is really cool. It is cool sometimes to see these characters look like anime characters with the big eyes and the yada, yada, yada. That kind of stuff is good. I only actively hate one of these episodes. I actually really do hate it.
Tatooine Rhapsody.
No, I love Tatooine Rhapsody.
I thought you were going to choose that one.
No, I actually love that one. And it's because I've actually got a list here, and somebody else ranked them. They ranked the least. Oh, and this list is on Forbes, ranks Tatooine Rhapsody as the worst one, but I think it's good. My least favorite was the twins which I think was the third episode.
It's people are talking about it online, and it's
are people hating it?
No, well, all over the place,
Okay.
but that seems to be the one of all the ones. That seems to be the one that I've seen the most people talking about with the most buzz. And I even noticed the Minnesota Twins played a baseball game the other day, and people were hijacking the hashtag with the Twins.
Oh,
From Star Wars, and it's got some things in it that are quite interesting, I think. But
it's got some great moments. Like I thought
right
in the first few minutes of this one. So I was just and of course you probably watched it if you're listening to this, but there's these two, like a brother and sister. Now, is this supposed to be like an allegory or something along the lines of Luke and Leia? It seemed to me like it's like an alternate version of Luke and Leia, right? That's kind of what
it is.
Because he had a droid like R2, right? But the Leia character is like this evil woman or whatever that there's no redemption for her. So I didn't like, first of all, I didn't like that. I didn't like that it was trying to retell the Luke and Leia thing. I don't like that he said in a galaxy far, far away in Star Wars. I don't like that. That's too on the nose. And there was something else that they did.
There's breathing in space again.
Oh yeah, I mean, anybody who hated the flying Leia from the Last Jedi will not like this episode either, because they're just in space. And I didn't like the setup with these Star Destroyers joined together. Like, there's so many ridiculous aspects of that particular episode that I just was not on board. And this article says it's the quote most anime of all of them because it's the one that's overly dramatic. So when you think of anime, you think of like people screaming, and then yelling at each other and very, very reacting over, like, over the top reactions. And that's what this was. But I think that's a bit of a stereotype or trope from anime. And I don't like that trope. So that's why I didn't like this one at all. I just hated it, to be honest. I really, really hated it.
I wouldn't say I hated it, but that's when you sort of realize, well, these filmmakers, I don't know what to call it. I guess so. These filmmakers are free to do virtually whatever they want. Although, you know what, Dan, I could swear that they said there was 10 of these when they announced it, and there's 9. Are we missing one? Is
Maybe.
there one that was supposed to be there?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember that. Did they say 10? It could be. So maybe one got turfed.
I don't know.
Maybe one didn't work out.
I wonder if I'm remembering that wrong. I guess we could, I won't bother Googling it, but I thought there was going to be 10 of them, and maybe who knows, maybe they'll release one again. But I also thought, and you haven't seen the last 2, right?
No, correct. Yes.
Okay. So I'm without spoiling anything, I think the last one is one of the better ones.
Okay.
I think the last one has a couple of neat tricks that it does, and a couple of great concepts that would be so good to do in Star Wars that that to me, like, once again, like, reignited my interest. But there's definitely along the way, like, Tatooine Rhapsody was so bizarre and so out there and ridiculous, and like if you had Star Wars figures and a Queen album, then maybe like you would have thought of this. Maybe that's how they thought
of it. That's why I like it. Okay, I'll tell you what I like about this one.
A hut with a piercing.
Yes, and sunglasses and long hair. That was funny. Actually, it took me a while to figure out that those were sunglasses that he was wearing. Like, it was weird because I couldn't tell. I thought it was just his eyes were like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the story of that one is about this band. And first of all, I love that pop punk is active in the Star Wars universe. That seems to be the genre of music that they're playing. I love that they play their final gig at the same stadium or whatever you want to call it that the pod race was in episode 1. So that's bringing it around full circle. It's the whatever you want to call that. So that's really cool. I like the music. I thought I liked pop punk music, so I like the music in it. And it's just something completely different, something you would never expect to come out of Star Wars. That's why I like that one. And so that's one of my favorites, actually. And I actually did like the animation style in that one too. So, yeah. I'm
trying to think, like, there's one that looks like Speed Racer.
Yep.
And there's
okay, I'll go through them. I have the list here.
Oh, do you have the list?
Yeah. So this is the Forbes magazine said Tatooine Rhapsody was the worst one. Then it was TOB1, which is the one about the robot boy becoming a Jedi. I like that one. It kind of reminded me. It kind of reminded me of Astro Boy, like that professor.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
What did you
Not
say?
Speed Racer, Astro Boy.
Same thing. 70s, any 70s animes is what we're looking for. But anyway, yeah, that one is pretty good. Then the Twins was the third worst. So this person thought those other two ones were worse than the Twins. I disagree. The Village Bride, which I would probably say is my second least favorite, which is the one about the woman offers herself to bandits to protect her village, but a Jedi steps in and kills them. And then now it's getting to ones I haven't seen, a couple ones I haven't seen here. It does also say the best one is The Duel, which is the first one. And I think the reason they chose that one, because they want to start strong, right? You want to start with a really, really good episode, but I also think you should finish strong. So I was expecting that final episode to be as good as the first one, but you're saying it's not quite as good as the first one?
And the animation in the first one is just so perfect that it just doesn't reach that level.
Yeah.
But the story, I don't want to give away anything.
We'll talk about it another time then.
There's a couple things I could say about it, but I'm not going to say. But I really like the story in the last one, and I think there's a couple turns in the story where I thought this would make a great moment in Star Wars. Maybe not the way we're seeing it there, but with different characters or something. And it also, I don't know, okay, I'm not going to say anything about this one, but I'll say the theme that I pulled from all of these from beginning to end was we learned more about lightsabers and about crystals. Lots of crystals, lots of sabers. And different kinds of crystals and different kinds of sabers and what they mean and how you use them in a duel. Oh, what was the one, the episode with the crazy old Sith with the two blades?
I don't remember. Maybe it's one of the ones I haven't seen. I'm thinking of you're right about the lightsabers, and you knew they were going to get crazy. As soon as I knew it was going to be anime, I'm like, this is going to be crazy ass lightsabers. And absolutely, we had multiple whips as lightsabers. Like those things can bend like a rope. Who knew? We had an umbrella lightsaber, which was a weird choice. They had a lot of fun with those lightsaber designs, and we know that we're going to see some aspect of that on the toy shelves as well. So I did I thought that was funny, and it actually reminded me of a scene from the Phineas and Ferb Star Wars special, which I've referenced several times, in which the two brothers are going to have a lightsaber battle, and one of them tinkers with it and comes up with this giant lightsaber with a bunch of different, I just hit my mic again, a bunch of different things, just like that umbrella lightsaber. It looked very similar, and then the other guy's like, oh, we're allowing modifications, eh? And he goes, okay, and he messes around with his, and then does a bunch of crazy stuff. So that is that's the thing coming true, because they actually did create these crazy lightsabers, which is part of Star Wars.
We saw the guy making off-brand lightsabers that respond to the degree to which you are one with the Force, and the length of the saber varies from user to user.
I did like that one about the sabersmith. I like that story, and I like the idea of these different sabers doing different things. That was a very cool one. Changing the length of the blade, that was also something new. So yeah, you're right. They had lots of cool new ideas about lightsabers and about how that all works. And it's obviously stuff you can do in animation that you can't do in real world stuff, right? So that's cool.
These are more interested with Sith than I thought they would be. There's more Sith lore that we see in these as well. Let me think as well. There's something else that I was thinking as I was watching it. Oh yeah, what I kind of liked about this was, okay, we know that George Lucas was inspired by the Hidden Fortress for Star Wars. And what I like about this is it brings it full circle.
Yeah.
And it's inspired by George Lucas. And what I would love to find out is, what does George Lucas think of these? Like, would he like these? Would he go, this is great, this is exactly the kind of stuff that I had in mind? Or would he watch these and go, well, that's pleasant, but none of this is anything that I would ever want for Star Wars? I assume he'd like it.
I would too, especially if he liked the Hidden Fortress. Like, if that's the kind of thing he started with, then he would like it coming back to this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think maybe our key takeaway is we'd like to see a motion picture of the duel.
I think
The,
so, yeah. Or a
from
series
that
or
world.
something.
Yeah.
Like a series where that guy like travels. He's a Ronin. He travels from town to town kind of thing. Like that would be great. But maybe it would be too much. Maybe we don't need that. There was one in the Animatrix. There was one of the things that stood out as being way better than any of the other ones. It was just so much better. It was that CGI at the time was so realistic. And now it doesn't look so much now, but remember there were those Final Fantasy movies that came out at the time. Like these are the early 2000s and it looked so good. It looked almost like a real person. There's one like that. And then the rest of them kind of pale in comparison. I feel like the rest of these pale in comparison to that first episode of Visions, right? Like you start off with that and you're like, holy crap, that's awesome. And then the next one's kind of a letdown because it's not as good.
I think that's how I think you're right. They put them in an order for a reason. And I do think the last one is a cool one that you sort of ponder after you've seen it. So I think it's good. It's good. I think clearly the beginning and the end one are the bookends. And then the stuff in the middle just veers wildly from thing to thing. But you could have easily called it the Lightsaber Chronicles or something like,
or the Kyber Chronicles.
Oh yeah. The Kyber Chronicles.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's kind of what we were seeing. I sort of like that first one too, as the switcheroo that they play on us with he's got a red lightsaber, but
because he's got all in his coat. Yeah. It's good. Yeah. It's very cool. Yeah, it's all again. That first one just blew me away, and then the rest of them were okay. But I will finish it up. And again, apologies for not doing that.
No,
and so much to watch. And I should also mention, what's that?
There is so much on TV this week.
Yeah,
they give us that stupid month-long break, and then everything comes pouring back, and you don't have time to watch it.
And I'm also doing my 31 movie challenge again for Halloween. I've decided to do that again. I'm doing it on TikTok this time, so my Instagram feed isn't full of scary images, but and I've talked about it over on TikTok, so you can see that stuff there. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, but I'm not going to have time to watch a ton of other stuff in October because of that. So I'm glad we can get this out of the way and watch it, and that's it. And then we're not going to have Book of Boba Fett until December, I guess, right? Is that what they said?
That's right. Very soon. And then Cassian Andor must be nearing completion.
It's got to be like the next thing out in the spring, something like that. Yeah. Cool.
Cassian Andor, and then maybe I'm gonna miss season 3 of The Mandalorian. I think they're I say make more Mandalorian when sing while you're winning. Make more Mandalorians while you've got a head of steam going. So we'll see. I wonder what point in the production they are there. I'm sure the scripts are written.
I that's one trend in television in general that I'm not loving is that they can wait as long as they want to do the next season. It doesn't have to be the next year. Whereas back in the day, you had to do it to keep things going. And I kind of think that's still the case. And I forget about a lot of this stuff if it doesn't come out every year. And yeah, like Better Call Saul. When's the last time we saw Better Call Saul? Right. And I know that the pandemic has delayed a lot of this stuff. So that's the reason for it. But even before the pandemic that was happening, like we had to wait 2 years between Mad Men seasons at one point. And they were certainly planning, but Disney was planning to do this before the pandemic happened. So this was always going to be, but I just wish that, they should do every year. And if they're going to do like how many series, 4 or 5 series they have now, then let's space them out so that we are always getting something Star Wars so that we don't have to wait. Because now we have to wait until December, then we have to wait till spring, then we have to wait till whatever the next one is. It's like, and I thought they did a pretty good job with that on the Marvel side. They were releasing those Marvel series pretty close together. So we only really had to wait a couple weeks between WandaVision and Captain Winter Soldier, whatever the hell that's called.
Yeah.
The Captain Winter Soldier. Remember that one?
Captain and Tennille.
So anyway, they should just kind of take a look at that release schedule and make it so that we don't have to go any time without Star Wars because we don't want to anymore.
Well, Star Wars is always at its best when you're anticipating what's coming next. You're always just like, oh, it's going to be so good. Like the idea of it is just so exciting. And even on last weekend, Ewan McGregor was at the Emmy Awards and he won. He won for Halston, and I'd chosen him to win because I'd actually seen that, and he's great in it. It's so good on Netflix. But I read bad reviews for Halston, and I was like, oh well, I guess I'll watch it. And it's really great. So I was so happy to see that he won. And any Star Wars fan who watched it would be like, he's clean shaven. They
he's
wrapped
done
production.
shooting.
He's done. I can't wait. It's in the bag. Let's do this. Like, so that's got to be coming soon too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, come on, let's get there. But you know what? I'm glad that Disney Plus is giving us content. And I like that. I like this. I don't like every episode of this necessarily, but I like it. And I definitely like the stop gaps in between our Star Wars content there. So keep it coming. And I also like the freedom that they've given these creators to
do whatever they want. Yeah, to explore these things. So yeah, that's also very cool.
I remember buying that action figure of Darth Vader with a comic book, and he's white. He's like the good Darth Vader, if Darth Vader went good. And I remember looking at the figure going, well, they'll never make anything like this again. So I bought it. But it's sort of like when I look at the anime, I thought the same thing. Like, we're not going to likely ever see this Luke and Leia dark side thing.
Right.
So we might as well enjoy it for what it is, because the movies, I don't think will ever show that to us.
Yeah. I think another one of the things that I think that episode in particular tried to cram in every Star Wars trope, because it also had a Wilhelm screen, I believe.
Oh.
And it had, I got a bad feeling about this.
Oh, right.
Actually, it had the droid saying, I've got a bad feeling about this. And then he repeated it back. So you have a bad feeling. I can't remember what he said. He paraphrased it back to the droid. I'm like, come on, let's just, anyway.
I refuse.
What do you want with the power core? Are you planning to turn it over to the Republic?
The Galactic Empire or the Republic. I couldn't care less about either one of them.
You really don't care.
Yeah, even if I explained it to you, you'd never understand.
You fool. Are you out of your mind?
You've been buying some figures. I saw on Instagram. You bought what? A couple things.
I got a retro Baby Yoda
Yeah.
to go with retro Mandalorian in the 3.5-inch series. And I have to point out something, and that is the Baby Yoda in the 6-inch series and the 3.5-inch series are the same size Baby Yoda. It can't physically be true. And yet there it is. So the 3.5-inch Mandalorian gets to cradle the same size Baby Yoda as the 6-inch Mandalorian, which is ridiculous.
That's
and
funny.
It was my birthday this week, and I got,
Happy birthday.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And I tend to pick up some Star Wars stuff every year, and I got the one that I was dying to have. I'm glad I have it. Was Jackson the Green Rabbit from Marvel Comics in action figure form. I love that figure. I don't know if you've watched that episode yet. Did you see an episode of Visions with a rabbit-like character?
No, but I saw the screenshot of it. So is that the same species?
Well, you tell me.
Okay.
I don't think so, but there's all different kinds of rabbits apparently in the Star Wars universe.
But wasn't there another one, a Luke one you got, a Luke figure? Or is it you just saw it?
I saw it and I was gonna buy it. It's the Timothy's on. No, what's his name?
Yeah, Timothy's on. Yeah,
Heir to the Empire. Okay, it sounded wrong. Yeah, the Heir to the Empire, Luke Skywalker. And you look at the box and you're like, oh yes, this is great. And then you open it up and it's like Luke looks emaciated and it's just like the worst figure. He gets his arm joints. You can see. I was like, this is just. I was like, nah, I'm not buying it just for the lousy box. So I didn't buy it, but I like that they made that figure. I just wish it was a better figure. And I wanted to see with the jacket on. Like, there's something not right with that figure. But.
Okay, is that the one that comes with the oh no, that was those snaky things come with Thrawn, right? The little.
No, he has one with them too.
Oh, Luke has one too. Okay,
I'm not sure why, but
accessories. That's why he needs accessories. Give him something.
It would sap the force from him in those books.
Yes, right? That's what it would do.
Yeah, they shouldn't package him with that. It takes all his powers away. No wonder he looked emaciated.
I was at Best Buy today, and I saw, I put it on TikTok, some cool episode 1 figures. And I'm not, obviously not, episode 1 is not my favorite Star Wars movie. I've said many times how much I hate it, but these look like pretty nice figures. And I think it's pretty interesting that they released these. It's a 50th, so they have the 50th anniversary Lucasfilm. This is the year 50th anniversary. So everything they release, it has that logo on it. But these are 6-inch figures. They're not Black Series, so to speak. It says episode 1, Phantom Menace on it, and it is oh crap, I can't remember the figures. Certainly, maybe they had sold some, but I saw. Hold on, I forget. Jar Jar was one of them. Like Jar Jar, Mace Windu, Qui-Gon, and I can't remember the last one. Oh, it's a droid, a battle droid. Battle droid, yeah. And it's like they're very cool looking. They're very detailed. It looks like a good sculpt. Although the Liam Neeson one looks a little more like oh geez, what does he look like? He looks kind of like Seth Rogen. So maybe not so much on the Liam Neeson sculpt, but the Jar Jar and the Mace Windu looks good. Like it's cool. I just think it's cool. So that caught my eye, and I think it's interesting that they're still releasing episode 1 stuff. There's still a market. People love that movie. There are people who love that movie and will collect those figures.
There's nostalgia for all Star Wars, and it doesn't matter. It depends when you were born, pretty much. Although, those of us who saw the original one, or even any of the original trilogy in the theater, tend to be like kind of snobby about it. But there definitely are podcasters who love the prequels, who have the nostalgia for that. And the kids who watch the J.J. Abrams trilogy, I think there will be nostalgia for that, just because I think The Force Awakens for a lot of kids was like sort of their first in theater Star Wars experience. And I think they'll probably take that with them for sure.
And it's the cultural impact of it. It was the event of the movie being released that they'll remember, not necessarily the movie itself. Like I think about, and I can remember seeing, and I was too young to see the first one in the theater, but I saw Empire Strikes Back in the theater. I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater. And I do remember those experiences very distinctly. And I think my kids will remember their experiences seeing Star Wars this time around, but I don't know. It's an interesting, and what I think I've learned in all this is that I don't feel like we can really compare one era to another. It's all like they're all products of their time. They're all made in whatever situation they're made in. And, I used to be like, oh, the original trilogy is the best. And now I'm like, the original trilogy is my favorite. But there are redeeming factors about all Star Wars. I think there are good aspects to all Star Wars, even the ones I hate, even the twins. But and I'm just kind of becoming more accepting of that now. I'm not as snobbish about the prequels as I used to be.
I think it becomes less important as they continue to make content.
Yeah, exactly. The more content is out there, the less that importance that content has in the grand scheme of things, because there's so much of it.
I looked at on the back of the Baby Yoda figure, it shows the other Mandalorian figures you can get, Grief Karga and Cara Dune, it says, but I doubt that's true. And then that kind of other couple. And I was like, whoa, like I have excitement for the Mandalorian like I did for the original Star Wars movie. But the difference is that I was like, nope, just the Mandalorian, just the Baby Yoda, who comes with an egg, by the way. So I had to get it. The floating egg that he lays in.
Sorry. I thought you meant the eggs that he was eating, the lizard eggs.
No, frog. He comes with a frog that he was eating.
Frog eating. Okay. But he comes in his little bassinet you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I had to get it, but I don't think I'm a little more restrained in what I'm buying these days. And part of it is I just got a room full of this stuff, and you can't, once the room's full, that's it. That's like, what are you going to do?
Well, you can buy a bigger house.
You're going to need a bigger Star Wars room. Take a wall out, make it bigger. Make it so.
Yes, wrong property. All right, sorry. I had one story I wanted to tell you before we wrap up. I just remembered. Of course, and this is funny because I meant to get into this at the beginning. That's why I brought up classes, and then I completely forgot about it. So I'm going to bring it up now. I show a lot of videos in class, and it's YouTube videos, and there's quite often pre-roll ads on these videos, and I just have to wait for them because nothing you can do about it. But so usually I'll make some sort of commentary on it. Like if it's a video lately, there's been an ad for Cry Macho, which is Clint Eastwood's new movie. And I'm like, I can't believe that guy's still making movies at 91 years old, like that kind of stuff. And there was an ad for, and I can't find it now. I was searching for it before the podcast. I saw an ad for a new Star Wars video game. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this? And then the students are like, oh, and we started talking about Star Wars. I got off on a tangent for a second, but then I tried looking it up after, and I couldn't find it because I couldn't remember the name of the game. But what it appeared to be is a Star Wars Fortnite. That's where they're giving us. So it's like a tournament style battle royale thing online. You pick your Star Wars character and you kill each other, and I think that's what this is.
That sounds like that might be just what I need to get me into Fortnite.
Okay,
I might do it.
Okay, well, we'll see. I mean, it might not be as good as Fortnite to some. There are a lot of people who love Fortnite, but
It's better. It'd
What's
be
that?
better than Fortnite. It's better than Fortnite.
Well, it's got to because it's got Star Wars. But I thought like Fortnite also brings all kinds of characters in. They brought Marvel characters in, and they've done all kinds of stuff. So I'm surprised they didn't just bring Star Wars characters into Fortnite. But yeah, this looks to be kind of an interesting. And I'm not a huge fan of those battle royale games because I get my ass kicked every single time. I'm not good at them. I always die right away. As much as I think, oh, I'm going to practice and be better at this, I don't. So we'll see, but I'll figure it out. I'll figure out the name of it and I'll report back. I can't remember, but I just thought that was an interesting story that something's coming out Star Wars really that looks like Fortnite. So that's going to be fun.
Very cool. I would love that. I would love that. That might be the only thing I need to get me into Fortnite, but I'm sort of, I would like a good Star Wars video game. It's been a while.
It's been a while. It has. Even the Jedi one we just had last year, or the year before, it wasn't great. I mean, that was the big marquee title for that year, but I think it was 2 years ago, wasn't it? It was 2 years.
Yeah, I'll play Star Wars Fortnite if that's all we've got, but it'd be nice. It'd be nice to get more Star Wars games. I'm in.
All right, we'll see what happens. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you in the ass.
That's no moon.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?